We'll take their seats and we're going to get this meeting started. You can't hear me? That's old technology for you. Okay, my wife's sitting in the back, and she's my conscience about you all being able to hear me. So I'm going to try and move when I move like this. Well, look around the room. Holy cow, there's some excitement around here, huh? My name's Matt Cambick, and about 3 hours ago, this board elected me president of our corporation.
Now they really can't hear you. Just use a microphone.
About 3 hours ago, I was elected president of your corporation. So I want to welcome you today, which is a significant day in the future of our community. We're here today to talk about our strategic plan. I want to take a moment and introduce the folks that are up here on the table. To my right, my far right, is Kevin Carroll. He's from the whatever group?
McMahon.
The McMahon group that we worked with all year. And to my immediate right is Christian, and I can't pronounce his last name.
Claire, old French name.
Claire. Okay, that's out of C-L-E-R-C, Claire. I'm Matt Cambick, and I'm going to let the rest of the board and Walter and Ray introduce themselves.
I am Mark Eckert, and as of a few hours ago, I am the treasurer for 2024 for the HOA.
Dan Lendiger, Vice President.
Sean Kreiderman, Secretary for 2024. Denise Lexell, Director.
Chuck Hill, Director.
Larry Santora, the newest board member, and they made me the Assistant Treasurer.
Ray Kuhn, Assistant General Manager.
And good afternoon. I'm Walter Yazzie, and I am the General Manager.
I just have one point of clarification. Nobody made Larry anything. Larry's a CPA, and he volunteered to be the assistant treasurer. So I just want to clarify that for you all. We got a very straightforward agenda. Christian is going to lead us off, followed by Kevin, and then the board is going to share its strategic plan, our strategic plan, with you. With that, I will turn it over to you, Christian.
All right. It's great to be back here at this community. It's always exciting when you've got strong leadership coming on board, and after having looked at the community to see what you all think about your community and what your hopes and expectations are. And so today I'm going to be going over the member survey that went out to everyone. And at the end of the presentations, there will be a Q&A session, and I hope to answer any questions that you may have of anything that I don't cover in this part of the presentation. So we can go on to the next slide. So right off the bat, the response rate was very good for the survey, and it likely reflects the attitude of all the members of your HOA. And we've got a 95% confidence level. So the way to interpret that would be if the survey was offered 19 out of 20 times, you'd have the same result. And the stats guys say that one time there might be some outlier. So we know we've got a good confidence that this represents the community, and we'll be able to interpret the results. So as you're going through and you're seeing any percentages, that's a plus or minus 1%, or on any mean responses, that's a plus or minus 0.1%. We can go on to the next slide. So the profile of the respondents. So this is Saddlebrook 2 is a little bit of an older community, which also explains why you have such a wide variety of amenities here. It's great to see all the different things that you have here. But one of the things that you'll notice is when we go in through the value boundary curves is that the importance rankings is pretty spread out evenly. So it's really important to have this data to help guide your leadership moving forward. The respondents of the genders was split right down the middle, 51-49%. We can go to the next slide. Again, a quick profile of the respondents. So 48% of the people learned about Saddlebrook because they knew a resident here. So that's very strong. So over half your membership come from somebody that knew somebody that was already here. And then the ownership status, over 80% of the respondents own and live in the property full time. The tenure of the respondents for the survey is skewed a little bit on the more tenured side, with over 46% over 10 years, but it also shows a lot of vibrancy, with over 25% having come to the community within the last 5 years. And that's something that we've seen in trends across the country, especially after COVID. There was a real surge in interest in communities and a lot more movement that we've seen. So it's good to see that that's healthy and happening here at Saddlebrook, that you're attracting that next generation of members coming in. So there's two metrics that we use when just gauging how well community is delivering to the expectation that members have. One is overall satisfaction, and Saddlebrook is underperforming in this regard. If you look at these very satisfied.
Next slide, Rick.
Oh, sorry, I forgot that mine's not changing. Sorry about that. I once had a design professor that said any technical thing that can go wrong will go wrong, so I'm just here to prove that today. So overall satisfaction, the community is slightly underperforming, with the very satisfied, we would expect to be around 31%. Here it was at 26%, and the satisfied we'd expect to be around 48%, and here is at 44%. So the good news is that those members are in that neutral dissatisfied. So if the right steps are taken, you can move those into the satisfied category. The other metric that is important, we asked members in terms of how strongly they agree that they're receiving good value for the cost. And here the community got hit a little bit harder with 19%. What would you expect? Which strong.
Next slide.
Next slide.
You gotta say next.
Yep. With 19% of communities would strongly agree, whereas here at Saddlebrook it would be 13%, 46% in most communities. Here it would be at 35%. So again, we're seeing fewer members agreeing that they're receiving value than what we would hope. Next slide. So the amenities, facilities, and programs. So here we asked, please respond to the following statement. I believe there's a direct relationship between the overall quality of the association's amenities and the property values within Saddlebrook 2. So between agreeing and strongly agree, member that hit, excuse me, that hit 80%. So that shows that most members do believe there's a direct correlation. And they were also asked if it was important for the association to provide the amenities, facilities, and programs that will attract the next generation. And again, nearly 80% of members agreed with that. Next slide, please. And then next, yeah, okay, great. So diving into the data a little bit deeper, we asked the importance and satisfaction rankings for all the major amenities and programs and activities that you have. And the things that came up were the most important are listed at the top here. That included the sidewalks and the walking trails, the Mountain View Clubhouse, and the patrol. Well, there was a knock on the sidewalks and walking trails. Anything over 15% dissatisfaction in these rankings is a cause for taking a deeper look. And so the sidewalk and walking trails, there's an issue there that needs to be uncovered, as well as in some other areas. Next slide, please. We look at the Desert View Clubhouse and the dining at the Mountain View. Again, those are nearly as important as what we saw on the previous slide. But there's elevated dissatisfaction at the dining at the Mountain View Clubhouse. Nearly 27% of members were rated dissatisfaction with the dining there. Whereas the dining at the Preserve and the Preserve Clubhouse, those are more in line with what we expect based on the rankings of importance. As we look onto the next slide. So here we're seeing other amenities, the fitness workout room in Desert View, the swimming pools at the Preserve in Desert View, and the golf courses. Those are all rated between 55 and 60% important and 50 and 65% satisfaction. So they're performing where we would be expecting them to. On the next slide. The golf practice facilities, the Robinson Pickleball Center, the fitness workout room, and the fitness classes, dog park and softball field. Again, those are somewhere between 30 and 55% importance, and they're actually, some of these are overperforming in terms of their satisfaction, so you've got some significant enhancers here. And then on the next slide, we've got tennis that had the lowest rating in terms of importance, was actually performing in terms of satisfaction above the importance ranking. So that's solid. So we just went through a lot of data rather quickly. So one of the things that we do here at McMahon is we have a value boundary curve to help digest that information in a visual way. So if we go to the next slide. So on this slide, what you'll see as you move to the right, things are more important, and as you move up, there's higher levels of satisfaction. So you'll see, it looks a little bit pink on your screen, but from 4 over to 5, we would call those, if it's not delivering on what you would expect, we call those priority improvements. And the quality drivers are the things that are very important to members and you're already delivering. And it looks like a little bit of an orangish color that's underneath the curve there. That's a missed opportunity. So it's not as important as those quality drivers, but it is still important to members. And when you overachieve on those, then that's what we would call a significant enhancer. So I'm just going to read through really the key points here. Your clubhouse is a priority improvement at Mountain. So what we're looking here is the Mountain View. The clubhouse is a priority improvement, and the dining is just borderline from a missed opportunity to a priority improvement. Then the tennis, fitness, and golf courses, those all could have some modifications to go from a missed opportunity to a significant enhancer, and the swimming pool is right on the line. If we go to the next slide to the Desert View. So at the Desert View, again, this is a very nice facility here in this theater, and members agree with that, with most members ranking it both as important and having a high satisfaction. So that's reflective of both the facilities and the programming that you have here. And also, the workout room here is also a significant enhancer. And the swimming pool and the tennis both are, again, they're right there on that line of the value boundary. If we go to the next slide. So here we're looking at the Preserve. And at the Preserve, there's some missed opportunities, the fitness workout room, the golf course and dining, where the clubhouse, the swimming pool, and the tennis are about right at where they would need to be for the value boundary curve. And then the next slide. For the General Association, so members see the member clubs and the patrols both as quality drivers, and they're right there on the line. Again, with the issue of the sidewalks and walking trails, there's an issue there with that's not moving it. Well, it would be good to move that from a priority improvement to a quality driver. The golf practice facilities, there could be some improvements there to move it from a missed opportunity to a significant enhancer. So again, this is just a way to help digest what's important to members and how satisfied they are, and to understand everything within the context of the other things that are happening at the club. Could we go to the next slide? So here we start getting into a little bit more of the detail. And what we're looking here is the government and management satisfaction. So just the community underperformed significantly on both the rankings of satisfaction for both the board and the management, but with the opportunities to serve being it's where we would expect. But in communication, committee effectiveness, management effectiveness, overall board performance, financial oversight, management responsiveness, and board responsiveness, the community had lower satisfaction rankings than we would expect. If we go to the next slide. So in terms of the governing documents, here the points of key dissatisfaction were with the effectiveness of enforcement of governing documents and the consistency of enforcement of governing documents with elevated levels of dissatisfaction, 18 and 23%. If we could go to the next slide. So here, the community evaluated how satisfied they were with the communication, and there was, Here, there was satisfaction with the Monday message, emails, and the e-blasts. There were some issues with the overall satisfaction with communications. Part of that was due to the timeliness of communications and also the ability of members to communicate to the association and provide feedback. With 28%. With 28% of members dissatisfied with the ability to provide feedback. In terms of, if we could go to the next slide. So for future communication, in terms of how it was important it would be for the association to communicate with you, the members, using each of the following methods. The two that really came up to the top, the e-blast message via email with 79% rating that is important, and the association website with 77% rating that is important. There's also other things that were important to members. For the record, sent via email, 71%. Board meetings, both in person and watched live, right around half at 55 and 58%. General manager meeting, coffee events at 41%. For the record, printed and mailed, 46%. And then text messaging, mobile apps, and social media, somewhere between 20 and 35%. If we could go to the next slide. Members were also asked if they would recommend property ownership in Saddlebrook 2 to their friends and associates. So we would typically expect that to be around 39 and 41%, and this is coming in right in line with that at 36 and 42% in terms of strongly agree and agreeing. So that comes out to, if you combine those two, then you're at 78%. So that's a solid, that your members are willing to recommend to your community. And again, we saw that in the earlier demographics with over 50% of your members having known someone here before they joined. We can go to the next slide. So now what we're going to do is we're going to just go through the highest and lowest satisfaction rankings for each of the main clubhouses. So first we're going to start with Mountain View, and the highest satisfaction rankings ranging from 74 to 87%. So, and these are in rank order. The general exterior appearance, the cleanliness of the facility, and the interior appearance, ballroom, condition of the swimming pool, cleanliness of the pool area, and overall pool appearance. Some of the lowest rated amenities and operations at Mountain View with dissatisfaction. If we go to the next slide. Thank you, Kevin. So if we look at Mountain View with the highest dissatisfaction ratings from 15 to 39%, we've got the Mountain View restaurant, the indoor dining area appearance, the condition of the tennis courts, the Mountain View restaurant, the amount of indoor dining space, the golf shop, shade at the pool, speed of dining service, food value for price, overall condition of the course, food quality, consistency, and menu variety. The Desert View with the highest, if we go to the next slide, for the highest satisfaction rankings at Desert View, and that from 74 to 86%. That includes the general exterior appearance, the cleanliness and the interior appearance of the fitness facility, condition of the fitness equipment, the overall pool appearance, condition of the pool, cleanliness of the pool, and the condition of the pool deck, size of the fitness facility, and availability of fitness equipment. So if we go to the next slide for the Desert View with the lowest rated amenities in terms of dissatisfaction with 18 to 25%, the amount of meeting space available for the clubs, and the amount of shade at the pool area. Moving on to the Preserve. So with the highest satisfaction rankings with the ratings of 75 to 91%, you got the general interior and exterior appearance of the restaurant, condition of the pool, overall pool appearance, condition of the pool deck, cleanliness of the pool area, dining staff, professionalism and training. So that's a good bright spot there. So some of the lowest rated amenities and operations at the Preserve, with dissatisfaction ranging from 17 to 48%. The amount of space for the bar socializing area, amount of shade at the pool, the golf practice facilities, the amount of meeting space for clubs, menu variety, available the fitness equipment, overall condition of the golf course, food value for price, and the size of the fitness facility. So if we could go on to the next slide. And then the next slide after that. So at the Robeson's Pickleball Center, everything was with 1% dissatisfaction. The conditions, of course, are very good. The one issue was that 1 in 5 of the members had dissatisfaction with the number of courts and availability. If we could go on to the next slide. So the community issues. There were 3 main things that really jumped out: the enforcement of the traffic laws, conditions of the roads, and the common area landscaping, with dissatisfaction at 14, 18, and 27%. Other things, though, members were very satisfied with: the street cleanliness, the overall security of the community, lighting outside the buildings, street signage, and traffic congestion on street parking. So members are able to get a parking spot when they need to. Social events. So if we go on to the next slide, what would entice you to attend more social? Members were asked what would entice you to attend more social events. And again, these are rank ordered. So improved food quality, speakers, educational opportunities, casual events, happy hours, events with bands and entertainment, movie nights, lower priced events, improved service, outdoor events, wine, beer, spirit tastings and dinners, gourmet nights, card game and trivia nights. So those are all things that members had responded. So everything that we just went over was things as they are today. So the satisfaction with the things, programs, amenities, and services. We also asked members looking to the future, potential future improvements. And what we're going to go over here are potential future improvements. And then we're going to also look at the funding question that was asked to members. So the way that we're going to present this is we're going to go by area. So first we're going to start with the Preserve. In here, the most important thing to members was providing a larger outdoor dining area and bar with views to dine and socialize, and also providing a larger bar lounge space to socialize, with 41% and 38% members rating that as important. If we go to the next slide, to the Mountain View. The things that were important here for Mountain View was: 1, update the dining room with 38% of members rating that as important. Provide a larger indoor-outdoor bar and lounge space, 38% rated that as important. And update the bar grill area, 36% rated that as important. Go to the next slide. So if we look at the association improvements overall, the add and improve sidewalks and walking trails. This was one of the highest rated items on the potential future improvements, with 64% of members rating that as important. And then it quickly drops down off from there: fitness, stretching, maintenance facilities, swimming pool, pickleball courts. On to the next slide. Again, continuing on with another highly rated item that members ranked as important was producing a facilities master plan for all association facilities and amenities. And that's likely due to the breadth of the facilities that you have here, that members want to have a vision on what's happening and where, and what's the future like for different components. So that would make sense that it would have that much support. And then lower than that, build a multi-use activity center and build a common area maintenance facility. So on the funding options, members were asked, one, to rate how they would prefer any future funding happen. And 50% of members indicated that they would not support improvements not funded by existing community improvement fee. But the other half did support additional funding. One with an option A, 25% for a semi-annual assessment for a fixed term. Then for option B, a one-time assessment at 13%. And then option C, which would be a combination of that at 12%. Now diving deeper into those option A, B, and C, option A, of the 1620 respondents that filled in a value for this question, 64% would be willing to pay at least some amount in the form of a semi-annual assessment. Among those respondents, the average was $304. Based on the number of homeowners, that $304 would raise around $8 million for improvements. The median amount respondents were willing to pay was $200, and that would represent $5.3 million in improvements. For option B, 61% would be willing to pay at least some amount in the form of a one-time assessment. Of these respondents, the average would be $1,573. That $1,573 would fund approximately $5 million in improvements. The median amount respondents would be willing to pay was $1,000, which would support approximately $3.2 million. And then option C, which was a hybrid combination of both option A and option B, of the 1420 respondents, 55% would be willing to pay a one-time assessment. And of the 1398 respondents, 55% would be willing to pay a semi-annual assessment. Among the respondents willing to pay at least some amount, the average one-time assessment they would be willing to pay was $986, and the average semi-annual assessment they would be willing to pay was $255. Based on the number of homeowners, these amounts would fund approximately $9.9 million in improvements, and the median amounts were $800 and $200 respectively, with that would support approximately $7.8 in improvements. So I just want to thank you all for listening, and I apologize for the technical difficulties at the outset.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Christian. My name is Kevin Carroll with the McMahon Group. It's great to be back at Saddlebrook 2. And I'm here to talk just a little bit about the strategic planning process that we worked with the board on in order to put the strategic plan together, which I believe you all have a copy of, or most of you received a copy of it. They were handing out as you came in the room today, and that Matt and the rest of the board members will cover today. But I just want to talk about the process and how that worked. First of all, I want to just tell you a little bit about the McMahon Group. We are a consulting firm from St. Louis, Missouri. We work with homeowners associations and private clubs, city clubs, country clubs, yacht clubs, that kind of thing, all around the United States. And we've been in business 40 years, and during that time, we've worked with over 2,200 clients with HOAs and private clubs. So we've done thousands of surveys with members around the United States, as well as over 1,000 or so strategic plans. So we've been doing this quite a long time, and we found it a very privilege to be able to be here at Saddlebrook 2. Next slide. We'll talk just a little, the next slide, Rick. Hello, Rick. So the whole thing started with a strategic plan really starts with what Christian reported on earlier, and that is a plan can't start at an organization like Saddlebrook 2 without hearing from the members or the residents here. And that all started with focus groups. We held focus groups before the survey was conducted. We had focus groups conducted over 2 days. We had a focus group with the board of directors. We had a focus group with the senior staff here at SB2. And then we had 3 focus groups with members at large. The purpose of those focus groups was for us to find out more about the community so that we could tailor the survey specifically to Saddlebrook 2. So that's what the idea of the focus groups were all about. It wasn't so much about gathering data. That's what the survey did. The idea of the focus groups was to get information to craft the survey, and that's what we did. So the survey went out, all of you received that, and we made sure that there were links for 2 for one in each member of the couple in the household that went out, and then those survey results were reviewed with the board. Next slide, please. Once those survey results went out, and we at McMahon Group brought those back, and we tabulated all those survey results, and they included quite a lot of comments. Matt, you have a book with you to hold that up? How many? This book's about 2 inches thick, and we had thousands and thousands of comments from all of you to back up the survey data, and we thank you for taking the time to write all of those in.
It's only 668 pages.
668 pages, single spaced, I think is right too. So a lot of information to gather, most definitely. Well, that was all distributed to the board, and then we decided that we were going to have a strategic planning retreat with the board of directors and with Walter and Ray, and to drive the club forward, because the club did not, or the HOA, I'm sorry, did not have a strategic plan before this. So we sent out what we call a strategic issues survey to the board and to the management to ask some basic questions. We did a SWOT analysis. We asked each member that received that survey, the board and management, to tell us the top 3 strengths at Saddlebrook 2, the top 3 weaknesses, the top 3 opportunities, and the top 3 threats that they believed. And we took all of that information and we assembled it and brought that together. We also asked about a mission. We believe that any great organization has a mission. And so we asked the members of the board here, what should the mission be for Saddlebrook 2? And really we believe that when you craft a mission should answer 4 basic questions. Mission should answer who we serve. So who do we serve at Saddlebrook 2? So we want to make sure that's in the mission statement. What we provide, and we provide a multitude of things here, a great number of amenities, and it's a wonderful community in that. So we want to make sure to include that in the mission statement. We want to seek, what is our quality level? What quality level do we seek to achieve? That should be in the mission statement as well. And the last thing that we believe should be in the mission statement is a statement that talks about what makes us unique in the marketplace, what makes us so unique that it's going to drive people to want to come and live here, buy real estate here, and associate with our friends. So we asked each board member what they thought their components of the mission statement would be so that we could discuss that at the board retreat. Next slide, Rick. We also then asked what should be the most important goals for Saddlebrook 2 going forward. And we gave the board the opportunity to list their top 3 goals that they thought were important to that. Next slide. So we took all of that information back to McMahon. We compiled all of those results and we shared them back with the board and with management. And we had a day-and-a-half retreat over a 2-day period where we came back and we met with everyone. And it started off with the state of the association, and Walter was unable to be with us that day due to a previous commitment, but Ray filled in, and he told us all about everything that was going on at Saddlebrook 2, challenges, opportunities, things he saw happening there. So that took place. We talked about the strategic planning process. We explained what we believed strategic planning was as it related to Saddlebrook 2. It's a little different from the corporate world, communities and private clubs, and what strategic planning is all about. But we shared what our ideas were on strategic planning. And strategic planning is different from capital planning, and strategic planning is different from long-range planning. So we had a good conversation about what the differences of those were and how we were going to conduct and help craft a strategic plan for Saddlebrook 2. We did an overview. McMahon is in and out of communities all across the United States all the time. So we provided an overview of things we are seeing throughout the United States and what's happening in homeowners associations, because we want you to be highly competitive in what you do so that people do want to come here. So we shared what we see in those things. And then we shared the survey results with the board as well. Just like Christian went through all of those, we shared all of those survey results, all of those data points, of which there are quite a few. And we wanted to make sure that the board had all of that relative information very fresh in their minds as we sat down and started talking about goals and opportunities for Saddlebrook 2 going forward. We reviewed what the board believed as a group, the strengths, the weaknesses, the opportunities and threats that are presented here at Saddlebrook 2. And Matt's going to cover that a little bit later, and it's in the strategic planning brochure. But we did do that extensive SWOT analysis during that retreat. We talked about the mission and what the mission of the HOA should be, because if we don't have a mission, what's really our goal? What's our objective if we don't have a mission here? What does the staff do? When we ask the staff to perform, do they really know what the mission of this organization is? And it is an organization. It's where we live, but it's certainly an organization. It's big business. And so we wanted to make sure that that was done. So we talked about how we craft a mission, how we craft a vision, and what our values are at Saddlebrook 2. We've all got great values. I know you're all coming from all over the United States. We looked at that data, and we all come to Saddlebrook with our own personal values, but we believe that the community itself should have values and adhere to those values and attract other people that share our same values. So we had great discussion about how to craft those issues. And then we got into the real meat of the matter, and that was how do we determine what our goals should be for not only the next year, but 3 years and 5 years, whatever it is. So we believe a strategic planning is a working document. Strategic planning is not a one and done. We don't say to the board, great, we did a strategic planning session, check it off and move on. But we believe a strategic plan should be set in place, and it should be followed, and it should be part of every agenda for every board meeting that takes place. A portion of the strategic plan should be talked about and discussed, and we need to monitor results to see where we're going. So we talked about those goals and then the action plans leading to those goals. And that's really what today's meeting is all about, is we're going to tell you what those goals are and what the action plans are so that we can meet those goals. And there's a lot of them. This is still, even though this community's been around for 20 plus years, you've really only owned this space for about 5 years. So there is a lot of things to do, and the board acknowledges that. And it really came out in the survey. So what we wanted to do was help organize the board, put it all together so that there's an action plan. Because as we say, in the words of Lewis Carroll and Alice Through the Looking Glass, if you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there. Or as our friend Yogi Berra would say, if you don't know where you're going, you might end up somewhere else. Yeah, that's a joke. So anyway, that's the importance of having a strategic plan. The other thing that's important of having a strategic plan is it needs to be updated annually. So this strategic plan was conducted, kind of finished up the end of 2023, so it could take us all the way through 2024. And then, just under a year from now, the board needs to get together again. We need to meet again, and we need to do a report card. And we need to say, what did we get right? What can we check off the box? What goal did we accomplish, or what action plans or objectives can we check off here, and what can we add to the next year? Or if we didn't achieve everything, what do we need to achieve? And let's reprioritize where we need to go. Because we talked for a long time, and as you'll see, there's goals and there's a lot of action plans, and it can be very overwhelming. So if we don't prioritize what's the most important things we want to get done first, nothing's going to get accomplished. So that's what we talked about in this whole retreat and the whole plan we put together. Next slide. So after we had this retreat and we spent all the time talking through all of these issues and coming up with 7 great action plan goals. Was it 7, Matt? 9 goals, I'm sorry. 9 great goals and the action plans leading to those. We at McMahon took notes throughout that 2-day period, and so we put together a draft and we sent it back to the board for them to go through and wordsmith it and prioritize, and they spent a great deal of time with it. So really over a period of maybe 4 to 6 weeks, we finalized that strategic plan, put it together. During that time, the board also got together and took the notes that we had from that strategic planning session and crafted a mission for Saddlebrook 2. And the board crafted a vision for Saddlebrook 2 and also the core values for Saddlebrook 2. And again, we believe those are very vital documents moving forward, and those will be shared with you shortly as well. I know that it's out there on the web now, but we'll go through that again. So once all that was done, we reviewed, prioritized, and adopted the plan and put it together, and I'm here to share it with you today. And the thing that the board has already done is assigned responsibility for each one of those 9 goals, and then working more towards those action plans. And what they'll continue to do further is find ways to measure the results of those action plans to make sure things are getting done. And they will also assign some deadlines on when things need to take place. Because some of these goals won't be accomplished over a year. They may take 2, 3, 4, 5 years. Some are going to be goals that are going to be ongoing in this community for a very long period of time. But the objectives leading to those goals may be changing on an annual basis. Next slide, please. So that's the steps of how we put the strategic plan together. And again, you had a great board, very enthusiastic group. The discussions were very deep and they're very thoughtful. We didn't always agree on the very beginning, but the most important thing was that we agreed on the total outcome once the process was finished. And that's the most important part of any board, is come to a great consensus and put together a plan for the future. And that's what this board has done for all of you today in this strategic plan. So that's it. Thank you.
So from flash to bang, it took us about 9 months to execute what Kevin and Christian just shared with you. From the very start of the journey to us wrapping it up right around Christmas time, 9 months. Well, Kevin described the process we used under the tutelage of the McMahon Group, and Christian reviewed the data and provided insights that were made available through the survey we conducted this past summer. Before we get into the strategic plan, this team up here is going to provide some foundation about our governance apparatus and where the strategic plan is going to fit in. Next slide. So we up here, the strategic planning team, that's what we are. We're going to be making this a tag team presentation. So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how this rolls out. I have a lot of confidence in my mates. I'm sure we're going to do a great job. I'm awfully proud of this team. In addition to all the other work that we've been doing in this community this year, we built a strategic plan. I wish I could tell you it was easy. It wasn't. So I want to acknowledge all the members of the team that worked this past year. They're all sitting up here, with the exception of Campbell Cheney. Campbell's out there someplace. Hi, Campbell. Campbell was our treasurer last year and was a vital part of this team. He was just as important as any of the rest of us, and I want you to know that. And I want to welcome Larry Santora down there, because he's the beneficiary. He gets to help us on the deployment side of this. The strategic plan's built, and now we're going to make it come to life. So thank you to both of you gentlemen. This presentation today, this unveiling of our strategic plan, is just the next step in our governance journey to excellence. That's where we're trying to go. That's not what you told us in the survey, by the way. And so what you told us in the surveys, nobody up here is interested in that outcome going forward. Excellence, by the way, is one of the core values we're going to present to you today. And you're going to hear more about that in just a bit.
Okay, next slide, please. Why was the board plus Walter and Ray the strategic planning committee? We've had that question quite often. I want to give you a quick answer, right away. It's the McMahon way. That's the quick answer. But I'll tell you a little bit more. Every year the board gets together as best it can to get some training. We do training with a variety of resources. Our legal firms give us some insight as to legal issues. But we also had some training in 2023 from a company called KKW, who tried to help the board think strategically and how that might work long term. And what they told us, as they work with other HOAs just like us, that they shared a benchmark with those communities, and those communities, it was the board in each of those communities that set the strategic plan. So we listened to that, we thought about it, and that's how we began to move forward.
Next slide.
Next slide. So the board responsibilities, just as a big picture, fall under really 3 areas. One of probably maybe the most important thing that any board is responsible for is the protection of our assets. So we have billions of dollars of assets in our community. If you add up the value of all the homes, the streets, the buildings, all your homes. And so that is by far one of the things that drives us for all of these things, is to make sure we protect and hopefully enhance the value of your assets, as we've all probably experienced the last 5 years, and we want to continue that. The board has a fiduciary obligation to our members, and we have the responsibility to delegate authority to the staff and as needed. So we're going to be talking about those three things in the next few slides.
Okay.
Protection of the assets. The overriding responsibility of the Community Association Board of Directors is to create policies and operate the association in a way that maintains, protects, and enhances our assets. Okay, we want to make sure that each of you know that this board fully understands this, and this is our primary responsibility, to create policies and protect, maintain, and enhance our assets.
Next slide. Fiduciary obligation to our members. Duty of loyalty and utmost good faith. Duty of candor. Duty to refrain from self-dealing. Duty to act with integrity of the strictest kind. Duty of fair, honest dealing. And duty of full disclosure. Next slide.
Delegation of authority. The board the board role is strategic oversight. The board delegates authority, not responsibility. Once it delegates to Ray and Walter, they're responsible for achieving those goals that we put on them. Board is strategic policy-making body. General manager and staff conducts the day-to-day operation, implement board policies and directives, strives to meet board established goals within a certain period of time. The board is responsible for leading and executing the following tasks: operate our corporation like a business, act like a government, promote community spirit. Right? It accomplishes these tasks in partnership with our management team, who are instrumental in the day-to-day operation. The board delegates authority to the management team and conducts the day-to-day operations of our corporation. The board never delegates responsibility. It owns that. Next slide.
They kind of cut Chuck off there. Take a look at this slide for a second, because this is the chart that represents the components of our governance apparatus. So if you look at the corporation, represents one of the purest forms of participatory democracy. And in that, the board consists of 7 volunteer members elected, which are all residents. Okay, and each of the advisory committees you see up there, that's on your right-hand side, are filled with residents who volunteer their time and talent to advise the board in executing the duties of the board. The staff, which is the people that we hire here, represented by Walter and Ray, and the Troon people, which controls the golf courses, represent the employees of the corporation. These are the ones who deliver the services to our residents. It takes all of us together to produce effective governance for the benefit of all of our members. Now we can go to the next slide. Okay, translating board guidance. What is the process that allows for the board intent to become a reality in our community? Really, it's what is the intent driven by the residents that allows us to do this. The next chart is going to depict the process that results from effective delegation of authority to Walter and his team, as well as the Troon team. Next slide.
Am I back on? Okay. I want to take a second and walk through this. It's a process chart. Inputs, outputs, outcomes. And I shared this with Walter the first time when we did a board working meeting around the strategic plan. The left side of that box up there are all the inputs. It's all of our active, happy residents. You all have expectations. We have $44 million worth of assets. Our roads, our facilities, our amenities. We have financial assets. Our operating funds, our reserve funds, our CIF. You make the operating funds and the reserve funds possible through your annual dues. And then, of course, we issue board guidance. The second column is all about how we deliver services to you. And that's Walter and his team, and that's the Troon team. Whether we're talking about common areas or food and beverages or fitness classes or golf or whatever you want to talk about, every service in this community is delivered by Walter Yazzie and his team or the Troon team. And then in the outputs, we start the year, we've got a plan. We've got an approved budget. We've got expectations we've established through that budget. And through the execution, we just finished 2023. At the end of that year, we want the asset base to be better than we started that year. The roads, the facilities, the amenities, all the planned work to maintain those to be effectively completed. We want to produce wildly successful financial results. We build a plan. We've got the finance committee that does a tremendous amount of work to help work with our controller and our treasurer to ensure that we do that. You might be pretty pleased with the outcomes of 2023 when the financials are complete. And the most important thing, are we meeting your expectations? That's how we're going to grade ourselves. That's what the McMahon team has helped us understand, is that we've got to be able to track every year whether we're meeting expectations or not. Why? Because we want to produce positive outcomes. We would like to have happy, delighted residents. Wouldn't you like to be that? I'd like to meet you. We'd like to meet your needs. We'd like to drive you to higher levels of satisfaction. We like less grumpy people. How about you? We certainly want to drive ourselves forward to enhance our property values. And one of the other challenges we're facing right now is we want to make sure that this community is operated on a sound financial basis, not only today, but into the future. Each one of those buckets has to have measures associated with it. We have to keep score. In the consulting business, they call those KPIs, key process indicators. Next slide, please. So back in March, if you came to the March board meeting, and I can tell you by the size of this crowd, most of you weren't there. But in that March board meeting, I was making my pitch to the board to hire the McMahon Group. And I put this slide up there. This was Matt Cambick's personal assessment of the governance apparatus in our community based on the fact that I had lived here for 8+ years and I had listened to an awful lot of stuff. And so I just put this together. I talked about our strengths. This board, the 2023 board, was full of enthusiastic, energetic people. And we made a commitment to one another that we were going to be the change that this community needed. We wanted to make a commitment to being a learning organization, to build on the experiences and the successes and failures of the boards that had gone before us. And the most important asset we've got in this community is we the people. We the people, we're a self-governed organization, and this corporation runs on the back of volunteers. So all those committees that Chuck briefed you on, volunteers. This board, volunteers. and we're fortunate enough to have Walter and his staff in the Troon team to deliver the services we want to have. What was wrong here? What were our weaknesses? We had an immature governance system. We didn't have organizational alignment. We didn't have continuity of effort from year to year, board to board. Roles and responsibilities were not clearly defined. We were producing too many negative results. There was no commitment to strategic planning. We had no mission or vision statements, and we lacked continuity of operations on an annual basis. Where were the opportunities that were in front of us if we would seize them? We could create a better governance system. We could define the roles and responsibilities clearly from the board to the staff and our committee members. We could implement action plans for our committees and for the staff. We could produce mission and vision statements. And we could implement norms and expectations for board and committee meetings. And we could codify a new board and committee member orientation process. I think you'll find out by the end of today's presentation that we just about grabbed every one of those and made them become a reality. And what were the threats to us? Don't do anything. Just keep on keeping on. The threat to you and me as homeowners is ineffective or inadequate financial management. I can tell you that Campbell Chaney was standing on the shoulders of the treasurers that went before him, and they still serve as his advisors, and now they all get to advise Brother Mark. And I can assure you, sound financial management is what we're going to be all about. And we will no longer have a lack of a vision, but we created one. So that's how we started this journey 9 months ago with the McMahon Group. Next slide.
Thank you, Matt. I like this slide. I always like seeing a three-legged stool. Matt, did you know I grew up on a farm? Did you know that?
No, but I bet you milk the cows.
Well, I tell you what, my dad milked cows and he sat on a three-legged stool. And I tell you what, if there weren't 3 legs, his butt would be in the crap every day. So the good news is 3-legged stools do work, and they're doggone important. We have a 3-legged stool we'll talk about here very quickly. One of those legs is strategic planning, which we're talking about right now. We also have a facilities master plan leg that's coming towards us later this year, and we'll talk much more about that later this year. And the other leg of the stool, which we're already talking about today, and that's a 10-year financial plan. How are we going to get through the next 10 years successfully and have the community we want? Quality planning always precedes super execution. Over the last 6 years, planning documents were being produced to meet specific needs within this corporation. Master plans were produced for both the Mountain View and the preserved golf courses. Our road studies every 3 years takes a look at our roads, the last one in 2021. Our last reserve study was completed in 2022. Those are very important planning documents, but they're not everything we certainly need. We're missing strategic planning. So anyway, that's what I have to say about strategic planning. That's why we're here. These are 3 legs of a very important stool for us going forward and in our community's success.
Next slide. So I just want to take a minute, first of all, and recognize, I think it came out in the conversations, but thank Kevin, Jeff, and Christian. This was an enormous amount of work, and there's no way that a board of just 7 residents could possibly put together a good strategic plan without expertise from companies that do this for thousands of customers. So they really did a great job. It was a lot of work, and a lot of good input that we got. So I just want to thank them, and I'd like to hear a round of applause for McMahon. They did a great job. Next slide. So the stakeholders for the strategic plan, we've already talked about this, but I just wanted to just list them again. Again, you're talking about the board that existed last year, and of course Walter and Ray were key with this. They were this is the team that was responsible for creating the strategic plan that we're talking about today. So, next slide. Again, these are the stakeholders. The same group are the people that were responsible for deploying it. Walter's staff, the Troon team, all the committees. Larry, of course, is a new member, so he was not on the previous slide, but he's certainly going to be part of the new slide, the current slide. So welcome him on board. The deployment of our strategy is going to occur in a meeting we're going to have on January 23rd, and we hope we have every bit a larger crowd there as we have here. So that's going to be our first annual governance synchronization conference. We're going to talk about the board goals for 2024, deploy the goals for Walter and his staff, the Troon team, and all the committees. So for the first time ever, as part of this strategic plan, the board, in its responsibility, is going to create the strategy for the HOA, and for the first time ever, it's going to be pushed down so that there's alignment across all of these groups that have to implement the strategy. So that's really a real fundamental change to what we've always been doing. So we will create at the end of this the organizational alignment that we need to be able to accomplish our mission. Next slide.
Kevin already explained to you. Go ahead, Rick. Kevin already explained to you. Maybe. Working. Okay. Kevin already explained to you in his wonderful presentation about the McMahon way. And I must tell you, when they first came, they said, we're going to do this the McMahon way. I thought, really? I loved it. Absolutely loved it, because it was clear, it was concise, and I could understand it. So we had the 5 focus groups, the board, the staff, like you said, and then our residents. We got that resident survey, and I got to tell you, I read every page. I read every comment. You had a lot to say, which we appreciate. Then we had our board retreat, and then we were given our homework, and then finally the strategic plan was created. And I, like the rest of the board members here, are very, very proud of it. The strategic plan, as Kevin said, is a living document. We don't intend to put it on the shelf. We're going to live by it. So next slide, please. Like I said, what you told us, we sought the resident voice through our McMahon survey. You told us a lot about a lot. And that voice guided the development of our strategic plan. You gave us a lot to reflect on, and that's how we built the plan that will govern all of us. Next slide.
So, what do we have? We have resident survey takeaways. The residents have a distrust of the board based upon previous decisions. There is a strong support for a master plan based upon a mission and a vision. Comparisons to Saddlebrook 1 need to be addressed. Food service at Mountain View is a detractor. Walking trails and paths are a high priority. Next slide. Half of the residents do not want to spend more than necessary on improvements. The highest satisfaction rating is right here in the theater. Residents understand that a wide range of amenities are vital to this community, although the importance of any one of those amenities other than the theater is not universal. Communication methods need to be reviewed and refined. Next slide.
This is going to start off our strategic plan. The following slides lay out our plan to deliver strategic governance and empowered management in accordance with our vision statement and in pursuit of our visions. Mission statement: Saddlebrook HOA 2
Next slide, Larry.
Saddlebrook HOA 2 offers an outstanding active adult lifestyle to our owners, homeowners, and guests by combining our majestic natural desert and mountain landscape with a broad variety of amenities and activities, well-maintained facilities, and quality services. The mission statement articulates the reason why our corporation exists. Provide a broad variety of amenities and activities, maintain our facilities, and deliver quality services to our members. Next slide.
So we're going to start with this vision statement, and it's a pretty simple item, but it's so important, is to be the premier adult active community of choice in Southern Arizona. So this tells us what we want to do, and this is what the journey to excellence is all about. Next slide.
As you can see, this represents the word values. And if you look down the left-hand side, you can see that it says raise. We choose these values because we believe they represent our culture and guiding the principles in which we want to embrace our community. Our values are respect, accountability, integrity, service, and excellence. And if you want to take a minute, you can just review all those bullets under each of those. Next slide.
Okay. Matt took us through a SWOT analysis that he did early in this adventure. And it really hung true. This is the SWOT analysis we came up with after the residents, you, our homeowners here, gave us input through the survey. So let me take you through this very quickly, but it's very important. It sets the stage for strategic planning. What's the strengths here? Natural beauty, location, weather. We all appreciate that, except it could be warmer today. Our facilities, our amenities, clubs, people, we all love our Saddlebrook. Board commitment to planning, I hope that's a strength, and self-governance. What's the weakness? No long-term strategy, food and beverage, lack of trust, and resident involvement. Lack of trust and resident involvement. Location presents challenge in attracting people to work here. That's a reality. Underfunded replacement reserve fund. That's a weakness. What's the opportunities? Well, we're back to food and beverage. It's an opportunity. It's a high priority opportunity. Strategic communication. You told us that loud and clear. Financial planning. We've talked about that, one of the legs on the stool. Facilities planning and upgrades. What do we need to do with our facilities today and in the future? Conduct more town halls and listening sessions. Matt mentioned this morning at our organizational meeting, this is the second of 5 board meetings in the month of January. Man, oh man, that's a bunch of stuff. I hope you all continue to show up. Greater board collaboration with HOA 1. Yeah, we need to do that. They're our neighbors. We need to understand, and they need to understand us as well. So what's the threats? Facilities infrastructure is aging. I would have put me on there too, but I will put facilities and infrastructure. It's aging. We're 25 years old as an organization. Making poor financial decisions. Boy, is that a threat. That is for sure a threat. Competition and our marketing. How are we getting new residents to come to Saddlebrook? Very, very important, especially with Robeson having about 100 homes left to build when he leaves. How are we going to bring people into Saddlebrook as a great community for them to retire to? Opposing change, process management. Rising costs. Oh my Lord, we went through 2023, late 2022 with rising costs we've never seen. That's a scary threat. Hopefully it's mitigated. And lack of ropes and marketing, I just mentioned that. How do we bring in the next retirement couple to Saddlebrook without ropes and selling homes in our community? That's a threat. Next slide.
Okay, so we went through all the SWOT and we came up with 9 goals. The goals listed here will be discussed in great detail by our Strategic Planning Committee champions. We've all been assigned a goal that we need to be the champion for. We'll all work on it together with you, but we're going to be the ones that will be the champion. They will lead all the matters related to that individual goal. The top 3 goals, strategic governance and empowered management, master planned facilities, and financial stewardship, are the 3 goals for this board, for the 2024 board. We have the top 3 that we're going to use as our goals. The other 6, commitment to our team, which means Walter, favorite place dining, effective communications, green space and golf experience, exceptional member experience, and sustainable membership are the 9 goals that we've set for this year. Next slide.
So from this point forward, it's the meat of our strategic plan. Once you get past the mission, vision, values, and the SWOT, these are the goals that we're aligning our entire leadership apparatus around, our governance apparatus. I'm sorry, I turned my head again. Okay, so goal number 1, strategic governance and empowered management. To adopt and utilize best practices for strategic community governance with a strong emphasis on achieving organizational alignment while also prioritizing guidance, direction, accountability, and performance planning to set clear expectations and measure progress for building trust and enhancing community engagement. So our goal has objectives or action plans attached to them. Next slide. So the first was to develop a board manual. For the folks that attended the organization this morning, this board approved pages 1 through 6 of the 24 board manual. Pages 7 through 22 deal with our staff, Troon, and our advisory committees. We're going to update board and committee orientations. We're going to review the board packet for what we do at our meetings. We're going to define or clarify expectations for committee roles. Last year, Dan has chartered a work group. That work has already begun. We're going to enhance communication and coordination between us and you all, and Sean has assured me that that's a slam dunk. We're going to effectively manage governing documents and rules enforcement. Y'all didn't think too highly of rules enforcement or how we were doing rules. And ensure strategic plan, action plan synchronization with the staff and our committees. And that's the 23rd of January town hall meeting that you're all invited to. The second goal, next slide please, is our master plan facilities. It's to have facilities that meet our goal of providing a relaxed, casual lifestyle for our residents and guests in a well-maintained, attractive environment. We're going to protect, preserve, and grow the assets through comprehensive capital planning that addresses obligatory and aspirational improvements within a unified master plan. And we will accomplish that work later this year. Our objectives: what's most important to you all? You've already told us some of the things. Dan and myself and Kevin, we're discussing earlier how we're going to continue to pull information out of you all as we walk through that process. We're going to create a facility planning task force that's going to help us do this work. We're going to develop a campus master plan with direction and facilitation from the McMahon Group, which is a recognized national expert in this field. One of the challenges for Walter, we're going to develop a campus tour program so you can see behind the curtain. I'm really excited about you all seeing how the common area maintenance team is treated today. I'd like you to see the less than adequate golf maintenance facilities we would have. I would like you to see the preserve workout room if you've never seen it, and on and on and on. There are things in this community you need to put your eyeballs on so you understand what we're bringing to you. And we need to maintain the current facilities at the highest quality we can while immediate improvements are evaluated and implemented. Next slide, please.
So our third goal, financial stewardship, is we talked about how critical this is with a 25-year-old community, that we really need to be serious about this. We will ensure the HOA finances are well managed by providing sufficient revenues to fund operations, facilities, depreciation, and provide the resources to ultimately achieve our mission, which is for everyone to enjoy where we live. So it's going to be critical that we do that to keep all of our facilities in good condition, which is what we expect and why we moved here and bought in here. Next slide. So the objectives. So we're going to review the systems and budgets to achieve financial success and deliver, again, on our mission and value proposition. Everything goes back to that with this strategic plan. We want to work to develop an easy-to-read dashboard for reporting finances to the residents. I know that Campbell already started that last year in trying to improve what we present to you in our monthly meetings. Pie charts, things that are more easily understood. We're going to continue to work on that to try to make it easier for us to be able to give you the information that's easy to understand. Establish and stay committed to annually updating a rolling 5-year forecast to identify the operational costs and revenue requirements. So at least look over the next 5 years from an operational standpoint to make sure that we've got a good plan in place. Maintain an annual review of capital reserve study to analyze the assets, predict the major repairs and replacements, plan funding requirements, and that's, of course, what we're right in the middle of right now with a series of meetings that we started on December 13th, is to achieve that. Continue to distribute financial information disclosing the results of operations and the capital financing program to the members on a monthly basis. You know, we had a gigantic hiccup on this in 2023 because of our challenges with our software. We had to make the difficult decision to go back and change over software systems. The new system we have in place now is much stronger, is going to be much easier for us to do this and achieve this goal. Unfortunately, we were not very good at achieving it last year. So, establish process for periodic review of KPIs for revenue generating amenities and report to the board. You know, all of our amenities cost money. We are fortunate that we have a few amenities that contribute income to offset that cost. And so certainly there's a lot of sensitivity to making sure that we're optimizing the best we can for the amenities like the golf courses, the theater, and the restaurants. And produce and maintain a 10-year replacement reserve budget synchronized with the strategic plan and the facilities master plan. Again, we need to have a 10-year forward-thinking plan, which is what we're in the middle of doing now and presenting to all of you as residents, because that's part of doing good financial stewardship. So, next slide.
Okay, so this is goal number 4, commitment to our team. Attract and retain staff to deliver a superior member experience. in a rewarding working environment that enables them to enhance their skills and service to our mission. Again, this rule or goal number 4 is all about you, superior member experience, but we have to have a good staff to do that. Next slide. So the objectives for goal number 4, you can see there's 10 of them there. I'm really going to focus in on, many of these we're already started on, but number 6 is one that I think is going to take a little bit of work, is to ensure training programs and manuals are updated quarterly. So this is something that I think we're lacking is the training part of when we hire new people, we need to train them up. Promote career development and growth. There's some opportunities, but a lot of times if we have people that stay a long time, there's not opportunities for people to move up in their positions. And finally, that last one, develop a facility plan that supports the team. Again, you've heard mentioned several times the common area maintenance facilities, and that's going to be one of the focuses there, is to get our facilities, our common area maintenance team, a nice facility. And that completes goal number 4.
Goal 5. This is one that's near and dear to my heart. I've been trying to get involved in this the past 3 years that I've been on the board and finance committee. Favorite place dining. To make Saddlebrook 2 the dining destination of choice by providing superior food, beverages, and service, and to enhance the membership experience. Goal 5, objectives. Use feedback from members to measure success. Provide a sufficient budget to meet member training and staffing expectations. Develop a say yes mentality. Add daily, weekly specials to supplement the core menu items. Add small plates, more variety to the menu, and healthy options. Provide better outdoor and casual dining venues. Evaluate the reservation system and policies. Set a member satisfaction goal and measure progress. We all know that the restaurant can't be everything to everybody, but we will do our best to try to figure out ways to make as many people happy as possible. Next slide.
Effective communication. Saddlebrook 2 will improve its two-way communication with members and staff to keep them well informed on all HOA-related issues and activities and provide timely responses to questions and inquiries. Chatted with a nice gal today and she said, you're always pushing the information. You're pushing the information. You need to pull information from the residents. Interesting concept. Goal 6 has 5 objectives. Produce a communications plan and calendar. Use video to send messages to members and staff on a consistent basis. I love being on stage. Oh, sorry, go to the next slide. Thank you. Evaluate the communication look, feel, and brand. I can't tell you how many people have said to me, Sean, I don't read the Monday message because there's too much information. We're gonna try to remedy that. Evaluate new technology to improve communication efforts. The problem is we've got some people in Saddlebrook, I know you'll find this hard to believe, that don't use the internet, that don't use email. So how are we going to reach them? And they don't have a phone. Oh, they might have a flip phone, or they have their same house phone, which is okay, but we've got to reach out to them too. We need to establish a communication response timeline for board and staff. Initial response and feedback within the business day or within 24 hours. I'm proud to say that Dan gave me the job this year for 2023 to keep track of all the board communication that's come back and forth. I don't think the average time was about 12 hours, because you send me something at 9:30 at night or send the board something, we're not going to respond. Sorry, you'll have to wait till the next morning. I think the longest response was less than 48 hours. And then we want to get a resolution response estimate, and we want to set expectations with residents for a timeline and feedback responses. I'm telling you right now, I, Sean Kreiderman, As the new secretary, I'm in charge of this goal. I don't use social media. I'm happy to chat with you. I'm happy to talk with you on the phone. I'm at breakfast every Wednesday morning at the Brook, somewhere between 7:30 and 9:30. Please come and chat with me. I'll write down what you have to say. I may not have the right answer, but I'll know where to find it. I need you to talk to me and to the board in a respectful manner. I don't like swear words. And we'll try to communicate, because we want to open up that line of communication between the residents and the board. Next slide.
All right. I'm going to go over goal number 7. Dan and I share this goal, and I'm going to read the goal to you, and then Dan will go over the objectives. The green space and golf experience. We will produce well-maintained desert landscapes with our common area maintenance program to produce a beautiful interface and views between homeowners, our streets, and the golf courses. We will also be known for providing enjoyable, well-maintained golf courses, offering a welcoming, memorable golf experience with exceptional service, while also catering to both beginning and non-golfers. Next slide.
Thanks, Denise. Okay, the objectives under this goal: establish a common area maintenance committee. We've done that. Evaluate execution of the CAM effort. That committee is starting their work now. Evaluate CAM staffing requirements. That's another issue that both the staff, Walters Group, and the CAM committee will be dedicated to. Include the golf course aspirational projects in the master plan. Aspirational projects, not the have-to-haves, but the nice-to-haves. We want to make sure we keep our eye on that ball, but the have-to-haves are the important piece at this point in time. Annually prioritize projects by improvements most important to our members and the health of the golf course. Have a yearly discussion about that issue. Golf shop staff to be trained, monitored. That's ongoing and shall continue. We'll grow the game in the community with fun programs, sip and swing, other things like that, to bring in golfers that have never golfed before and enjoy the game going forward. Establish our own key performance indicators, KPIs, to measure success of the Troon environment and contract. Refresh our social media with marketing and attract additional outside golfers. Bring people in to play our golf course. Evaluate the use of our golf courses for other resident benefits. And that can be a lot of things. Right now, one of the things, as you know, is walking your pet. So that's a big change over the last few years. Evaluate all the golf operations seeking opportunities to improve delivery of services to our residents and to our guests. Thank you.
Next slide. Goal 8. This is the exceptional member experience. I call this the happy goal, because without these things, how can you be happy? So to do that, we're going to foster the community by offering social and recreational experiences for everybody here by providing a broad variety of items to maintain amenities and the activities. And part of the next slide, please. Well, we have a next slide somewhere. There we go. Okay. So the objectives are to solicit member feedback, because you have to tell us what you want. And then we have to update and publicize an annual calendar of events so everyone knows what's going on, and then develop or enhance the affinity groups and clubs, promote patronage by the members, annually evaluate the condition of our amenities, and annually prioritize projects for improvement most important to you, our residents. Next slide.
Goal 9, sustainable membership. How do we ensure that we continue to attract potential home buyers to Saddlebrook 2? A couple of objectives around that. Deliver on our mission by providing an exceptional member experience and a warm and welcoming HOA environment. How do we do that? We provide services. We refresh, enhance, and maintain our facilities. Second objective, provide support for the real estate community by creating a marketing package for real estate agents and residents. You've heard that we are practically built out. We have 100 homes. So we need to change our marketing strategy from new home purchases to resales. And so we need to develop a marketing strategy around that. Strengthen our relationship with local realtors and focus on the resales.
Next, there you go. The thanks slide. Okay, cool. I just want to say, having been president in 2023 and now being able to be a board member in 2024, this journey has been very exciting. It's been very rewarding so far. And I've been very happy to be a part of a group willing to take on this challenge to set a standard for future boards to be able to use and rely on strategic planning going forward. It's the foundation of any successful community. So I want to say thanks to the focus group participants, those people that showed up. Thank you very much for your comments. They resonated. All the residents that filled out the survey, thank you for that. Obviously, the group here from the McMahon Group, couldn't have done it without that team. Walter and Ray, you're important. You're always important. So thank you for your work. And certainly, as I mentioned, the rest of the board. So again, thank you on my behalf, but thank you for all the work that you have done in connection with this strategic plan.
Well, there you have it. Our collective journey to excellence, the realization of our vision, has now begun. Come join us, get involved with our committee work, and help us to build a community that we can all take great pride in. There are no more slides. And so I would like to extend my gratitude to Kevin and Christian, the McMahon Group, to Walter and Ray, who they've never been asked to work so hard, I don't think, with the board and have so much homework to complete. There's a lot of people who I think fail to understand how complex running an HOA is. I want you to know that we're going to use every venue going forward to help educate all of us on what it takes to build that excellent community. You don't go from that organization I talked about back in March, the issues we had about being immature in governance, and go from that to excellent overnight. So what I wanted to share with you is we're on a journey. And so I'm asking for your patience, I'm asking for your support, and I'm asking for every opportunity you got to be a difference maker in our community. Please seize it. And now I'm willing to listen to your questions or comments. Come on down front, please, and make sure we catch you for the folks that are at home. Thank you.
Since you're going that way. Most of them stayed. Wow, it's surprised how many people are staying. Sean, you want to turn that on for him?
We got to do something with the mic, Joey?
Do you want to go to this one?
Try this one.
This one has a red dot.
Just use this other mic.
Use one of these.
Test.
This one will
Switch them out.
My name is Ken Padgham, and I'm a youth.
Okay, you got to speak right into it. Rick, what's with the feedback? Okay, try it again. And your name and your unit, please.
My name is Ken Padgham, Unit 23, Lot 114. Again, I thank the McMahon Group for all your work that you've done, and I've read your reports that have been published on our.
Tim, it's really hard to hear you. You really need
Read your reports.
loud.
And I'm making reference to one of your slides, which is, I believe, slide that has something to do with golf and the greens, and it's goal number 7.
All right, that's me.
There were 2 published reports for the strategic planning. One was dated October, and a later revision, the one that you're showing now, was for November. Again, back to this goal number 7. In goal number 7, you had originally a statement that said, while decreasing the golf subsidy. When you revised that report, the November report came out and that was deleted. My question was that done at the prompting of the board? And if so, why?
I guess I better answer it because I'm the custodian of all the electrons. I don't remember that particular bullet, but I can assure you this. We work tirelessly to figure out strategies to reduce the subsidy related to golf. That's connected to our financial management. We're going to work that hard. But like every other board that's gone before us, hope isn't a method. We got to figure out how we're going to get more members of the community to support our golf operation.
Well, if you worked so hard on it, why was it deleted out of your goals in the second report?
I'll take responsibility for that. I can't explain how I did that. Sorry.
That was the only thing that was changed between the 2 reports.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for reading it so carefully.
That's a good observation.
Good afternoon. Bob Andronowitz, and we are in unit number 25. First thing I'd like to say is a very impressive presentation. It's always excellent to see a long-term strategic plan. The thing that I did not see is how are we going to monitor the actions that are in the plan? Is there any plan in place for that? Is it going to be on an annual basis? Is it going to be on a quarterly basis?
Yeah, I wish I'd had more time to give you the entire deal. We have action plans already developed at the board level. Walter's already developing actual action plans at the staff level. My good friend Chuck down there, his number one objective is all of our goals have to be measurable and time has to be put against them. Reason why we have champions for each goal, that's the work they're responsible for, and we're going to report that out to you on a monthly basis.
Very good. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Another good question.
My name is Bill Mead. I live in 45, I guess lot 114. I enjoyed the presentation. I thought it was very interesting. I hope that it can be coordinated with the survey that was done prior to the pandemic by the old long-term planning committee. And the reason I suggest that is that those two surveys were conducted in very different worlds in terms of the pandemic, in terms of cost of living, and in terms of inflation. And I wonder exactly how much that's going to impact important things, such as how much people are willing to pay, since the money is a lot less available now than it was 3 or 4 months or years ago. On the other hand, I disagree with you considerably on the mission statement. I've done a lot of this in the course of my career. I've worked in nonprofits at the national, state, and local level, so I've done it a lot. I offered my input, and unfortunately it was met with belittlement. I think the mission statement you've got is more of an introduction to a brochure, really. It's an advertising statement. It doesn't tell us why we're here. Why are we here? We're here to provide a particular kind of opportunity for people in retirement, to have a fulfilled retirement. And I think that if we had a better mission statement, and I agree that a mission statement is very important, it directs us where we're trying to go, not where we are. Thank you.
I'm Judy Cummings, Unit 47, Lot 152. It's obvious you all have spent a lot of time, energy, and effort in this, and I applaud you for that. It's not an easy task. I just have a question, which is, since I've been here, which is about 17 years, the definition of what an amenity has changed. And I'm not sure if I know the definition now. And I think it would be helpful if we defined what our amenities are to our, especially to incoming people, new residents, and the support that the board will give them in terms of finances. Some are supported fully, I think. Some are not supported as much. And I think it would be just a good policy for the board to come up and say, these are our amenities, and this is how we will support them to this degree. And maybe this is something the members would even want to, vote on too. Thank you.
Tony Lulek, Unit 49. We've heard a lot today about the strategic plan, the goals and objectives. Well, what we didn't hear, and of course we're limited by time, we couldn't see or hear the action plans. And I'm wondering if we're going to make public the action plans of the various committees that are the various principles that are heading up the different goals and objectives. Are we going to see the action plan, and then are we going to see how the committees are performing against that action plan?
Well, I hadn't thought through the committee action plan presentation to the community, but there's absolutely nothing about this process that we can't make public, okay? But now you're going to have to be patient and let us deploy this. When it gets deployed, I can more fully answer how that's going to happen. Well, let me tell you how impressed I am. You have made my heart full today just by your presence here today. What you've conveyed to us is that the work that we're doing is important to you. What I want to convey to you is that we heard your voices. And we're going to try very hard to pay attention to what you're asking us for and produce those outcomes. Thank you very much for your participation. Have a great day.
Hey,